mostly what I have to say about breaking up a dog fight is don't.
Yeah.
We're going to work on preventing it from happening in the first place, and if it does happen, your first instinct is to pick up your walkie and call somebody important, the shelter manager, get somebody in there to help you, because you can definitely get hurt breaking up a dog fight. So that's my first thing to say. So some of this is definitely not going to pertain to everybody in this room. And I hope it pertains to nobody in this room. So we want to prevent, first of all, and when we're thinking about dogs fighting, it might be an escape from a kennel. It might be two people walking dogs and maybe starting to chat and getting a little bit too close. I'm not quite sure how it would happen, but we should not have dogs near each other really for any reason. Unless perhaps they're from the same household. And that would be the shelter manager's call to know whether even that would be safe or not. But they should not be near each other. The other thing you need to really be aware of is body language, and that's a whole nother presentation. But we want to be always watching the dogs that we are with to see if they're showing signs of stress. I will often think about dog fights. I will notice the dog that's worried before I notice the dog that's not. Before I notice the aggressor. The other dog will tell you, ooh, I'm worried about that dog. I'm going the other direction. I'm not looking at them. I'm rolling over. So those are signals that the other dog might be thinking about being rude. So the ladder of aggression here, wait a minute, I have to go back. Another way we're going to prevent dog fights is keeping food and toys away from dogs who are near each other.
Did something?
I did, but I didn't make anywhere near enough.
Okay.
So, and it's on Google Drive. So, if dogs are going to fight, it is often caused by toys and food. It's resource guarding. It's a very friendly dog who can play nicely with other dogs, may guard, and we might think they're very friendly, but if there's food in the picture, all of a sudden they're Cujo. So no food or toys around multiple dogs. And yeah, again, and I'm going to keep coming back to that. If there's any questions at all, only specified people are handling those dogs. It's just not going to happen. So this ladder of aggression, which did not blow up very well, we start at the bottom with just some stress signals: turning the head away, blinking, yawning, might be a shake off, walking away from the other dogs. And we want to respect that, and we want to respect it anyway, even if there's not another dog around. This dog is getting a little stressed, and we need to respond to it in some way. It might be a little scritch on the behind, it might be a treat, it might be, okay, you're not happy out here, we're going inside. So those aren't red flags, but watch out, just keep an eye out for them. When the tails start going under, the ears start going back, we're getting a stronger message. And I know I'm just kind of reading this, but that's what we have time for. So. The stiffen and stare, when we get to the stiffen and stare, if the dog, especially with resource guarding, if the dog just freezes for a second, that's a red flag. Any freezing is a red flag. And I would say at that point, okay, yep, we're going inside. I'm going to go, I want to tell the shelter manager this dog is stiffening, when I'm with them, and you need to know that. And the shelter manager is going to decide what's going to be done about that. Growling, snapping, and biting. I think most people know this, but, well, never mind that. You don't really need to know. All right, I gotta tell you.
Yeah, now you gotta tell us.
The growl is saying, back off. I don't you're too close to me, something is uncomfortable, and we don't want to tell the dog, no, don't growl. We want to respect the growl and say, yeah, thanks for telling me, something's wrong, and then, we're going to act accordingly. So, a lot of people will punish a growl and say, don't be rude, don't growl, and that's really the absolute wrong thing to do. We need to respect it as communication, because if the growl isn't listened to, then the dog needs to respond more strongly, which is usually an air snap. Hey, I said leave me alone, you're not listening to me, back off. And then if that isn't respected, what are they going to do? They need to tell you, and they're going to tell you with a bite. So that's the latter, and we need to be aware of it. And there is somewhere a body language presentation floating around, but maybe we should do that again.
It's in the Google Drive.
It's in Google Drive. Okay. So we're going to prevent, and we're going to observe. And those are our first two steps. And here it is again. If you do see two dogs fighting, use your walkie to alert the shelter manager. That is first, and that is not our instinct. Trust me. The instinct is grab the dog, right? Get it off, grab the dog. And that's the worst thing to do. You really have to force yourself, okay, I'm going to do this methodically, I'm going to call the shelter manager, I'm going to assess the situation, and I'm going to do, the next steps. You need to really be realistic. Don't be a hero. Don't go in there and grab, and trust me, I know. My instinct is to grab the dog and pull it off. Kate's laughing at me because I did do that. But don't do that, because that, you're going to get bitten. You could get bitten. If you are, not a dog specialist, you can call, and then you can use some kind of a distraction technique, which is hands off. So you can make a loud noise, air horn, and I don't think everybody's going to have an air horn on them, but we could have one in a place where we know. You could use the Halt spray. So these things you can do from a distance. You're not getting your hands in there. You can clap your hands. You can just find something that makes a lot of noise. And, most of the time that's all it takes. It really... Open up an umbrella. You could open up an umbrella. Yeah, just something startling and loud. You could, give a loud noise. Maybe, I don't want to say scream, but make some kind of a loud noise. Just something to distract the dog.
Can I make one point with that? Is that you don't want to jump in and yell at the dogs, because then it sounds like you're joining the fight. So it's a sharp, loud noise,
right,
as opposed to a, I'm fighting with you.
It's just something to get their attention. A whistle being blown, and it's a little distance away. Spraying water into the face is pretty good. Again, are we going to be near the water? We might be more likely to be near a bucket of water, which we can try. And all of those things can be very effective. Usually what we think is a fight is actually kind of ritualized aggression. So it is, in the bar room, you're going like this rather than hitting somebody. You're just kind of saying, I'm tough, I'm going to fight, but I'm not really fighting. And it looks like a fight, it sounds like a fight, and usually it's not a fight. And so these distraction methods would usually work with that. If that doesn't work, you're waiting. You're just waiting for somebody to get there. Again, because you need to have some experience with that. Questions about that part?
Yeah, if they're on a leash, is because you're not grabbing the dog, is
pulling back on the leash.
Okay?
Yes, it is. I would back up.
Yeah.
I would just back up. And be careful. There is redirected aggression as well, which is, the dog is just biting and your leg happens to be there. This happens at the shelters regularly. So you walk by a cage, and the dog in the cage is barking, and for whatever reason, and you're walking with a dog here, and this dog turns and gets your leg. And they didn't mean to bite you. It's a redirected bite. It's not they're not aggressing towards you, so you do have to be careful of that kind of thing. But yeah, if you just back away, I wouldn't grab the collar, just back away. And that might very well work, because again, it's usually ritualized. Another, level is to put something in between them. If you had a gate handy, you could try to put the gate in between them. I'm trying to think what would be right there at the shelter that we could grab, and it would probably be maybe a separator between kennels. There might be that we could grab and put in between them.
Try a folding chair.
A folding chair would be great. Yeah, I was thinking chair, but folding chair is even better because, yeah. So, look around, find something, and put it in between them.
A computer.
Yeah, well, a big one. Yeah, it depends on the size of the dog. Yeah. But again, don't be sticking your hand in there because we don't want anybody hurt. You can, and again, this was a research one. I've never done it, and I don't know. Throw a blanket over them, and it said it worked better with small dogs, and I can see that for small dogs. It's something that has been used and recommended. So we're kind of going up in levels. The wheelbarrow technique, and this is where I do have a picture. And it works best with two people. If each person grabs the back legs of the dog and lifts the dog like a wheelbarrow. For some reason, it seems like the mouth is connected to the back end because it really does work. You lift those legs up and their mouth opens, and then you can. What?
It only works if you have a friend and both participate.
And both, yeah. And if there's only one of you, you grab the aggressor's legs and do that. But
you can back
because
up
you've
with
got to
the
get
leg.
them away and gently back up. So that is another method. And again, most people are not going to be using that. But
They could, but I mean, I should have like a snake. I'm very rare. Yeah, I don't.
I'm thinking they might turn on you if you grab their legs, if they turn on you.
They could.
it's possible, but
Worry about getting back on
it
track.
feels safe when you do it.
Yeah.
And I have done that, and it did work. Full disclosure, I started by grabbing the dog because it was my dog being attacked. And I'm like, ah! And then I thought, no, wait, be rational here. Lift the back legs. And it was so much more effective. I mean, it just was perfect in this scenario. Okay. So now we're getting into some pretty serious stuff. If they're latched on, it won't let go. Often the wheelbarrow technique, and I would use that first, will solve that. Sometimes we've got that hold that is not letting go, and there is a pry bar that you can put in. It kind of looks like a ruler, and you put it in their mouth and turn it, and it kind of opens their mouth. And we're getting pretty serious here. The other thing you can do is twist the collar to cut off airflow so that the dog eventually has to breathe. I would prefer to, although if it's attached, we're not going to put a slip lead on, are we? But they'll have slip leads on if they're out of the kennel. They should have a slip lead on. And then you could pull the slip lead and cut off the airflow. And then when it opens its mouth, just go. So I think there was another one for that. No. And there is a picture of that, with a beautiful little golden that looks like it's chewing on a bully stick. You put it in and turn it. So it's kind of quick. I have nothing cute. I don't have an animal. I don't have a video. But those are your steps. And really, you know, again, the most important thing is use your walkie, get help, and, you know, let somebody else come in and do it. We probably will have maybe some spray
Well, that's what I was just thinking, I was gonna ask you.
someplace. Yeah,
Shouldn't we get those items?
I think so.
Not a break stick, because I just think you've got to be trained. on
Yeah,
how to use a
I
break stick.
wouldn't even want
But I
to,
think-
yeah,
The halt,
yeah,
the horn,
yeah, I
I
think
think we
those
should
would
have
be,
those on hand, and when we're taking dogs out and walking them, that becomes part of your required things when you're taking a dog out.
Could used them at the pool last year.
Yes,
I think this is my go-to. It's
they
loud.
are.
It's loud. It's
It's
loud.
really
We had a
loud.
massive fight in like the last 3 minutes.
I wanted to ask how that got stopped, because everyone started running towards it. There was a lot of people around the two dogs that were fighting at the pool a year ago. How did it end? I know a dog got injured.
The female that they were all on, she lost a piece of her ear, but they
How did you stop?
eventually all the owners got their dogs out of the scrum and got them away from her, and she ended up losing a chunk of her ear.
And that actually brings up another point, which is that remain calm. You know, if you have ritualized aggression going on and 15 people come charging at the two dogs, it might very well
Well, the
escalate.
owners
Turn it
were
into
way
a fight.
over there
Yeah.
Yeah.
in a circle talking, not watching their dogs.
Right.
Yeah.
And the dogs ended up in the corner of the fence in a massive fight, and they went, "Oh, my dog!"
And I
And then
sus-
you
My
had
dog
all-
never does that. That's the first time my dog has ever done that.
I also suspect that the most likely scenario for us having to do a dog fight is a loose dog approaching
Yeah.
the
A
dog
leash
that we have out. And then something like a halt would be really good.
Yeah.
Because for us, we should probably not be walking two dogs at one time, unless they're two dogs from the same family. Unless we have a lot of animals and we're trying to get them out, then we should have two separate, and I believe we do, two separate routes that we would take. So, but like Sin said to begin with, the best defense is to make sure we're not doing anything stupid, like letting a dog go up and sniff another dog. These are not our dogs in our possession, so we have to be totally careful with them and understand that it's a stressful situation, and we don't want to be the cause of that dog fight.
And, you know, I was
I
just
feel very
thinking
good about it.
as I was up here, another scenario would be as they come in,
Mm.
Yeah,
The door.
people waiting to come in.
yes,
Do what? What did you say?
As people are waiting to come in to the shelter, you know, to fill out paperwork, they might be talking to somebody else coming in, everybody's stressed, the dogs are stressed, that might be a scenario.
But that's also probably the biggest time it would happen, because the owners all tend to think, "Oh, my dog is fine."
Right,
Mhm.
yeah,
And that's what happened at the
Yeah.
pool. There was two people that I kept telling, because I was making laps around the pool. I said, "Your dog is being aggressive, watch it." "No, my dog is fine." And they come back around and say, "Your dog is being aggressive again, watch it." And, no, my dog's fine. So that's a part of the issue, is that the owner can't
Right.
see,
right.
they can't see that their
Yeah.
dog is being aggressive.
So then we would have some kind of a standard thing. I'm sorry, we don't allow dogs within 25 feet of each other as they, you know, as you're being admitted to the shelter or something like that.
well, and if we're opening up a shelter and we have enough people, we have what's called a pre-registration person now, and they should be meeting people at the door to kind of take care of that, and then determine whether we need to do any decon on the animals. So, if we have enough people, like when we had the flooding a year ago, there was only 4 of us. So we really didn't have enough people to begin with to manage that. And thankfully, in hindsight, nothing happened, because we did have a lot of loose dogs. Not loose, but people with, you know, longer leashes, and
And stress.
people walking with their cats.
Oh, good.
No crates. So we just have to be smart about stuff. We have to be the ones that say, no, it doesn't matter whether your dog never fights. We're not going to let them touch, we're not going to let them go nose to nose.
Yeah, and the people are too.
Right, yeah, yeah. And that would be a nice way to have just a set rule. So you don't need to argue about, well, but your dog looks like this or that. It's like, your dogs cannot be within this distance.
Yep.
Everybody's dogs. So,
Maybe just put down a piece of tape or something and say,
social distancing.
Social distancing for the dogs.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Susan,